Hey traders, Raghee here. Welcome to the final 2023 Charts and Coffee. Super stoked. This show has now been going on for 3 years now, and it's been a great way to start off my day. And I appreciate everyone starting off their day, caffeinating and dominating with me for just over 3 years. We started 3 years ago, October, and probably one of the most fun things I can do to prepare, which just reminds me, there are groups of traders that are going to show up to their computers and boot up their machine and get their chart set up at 5 minutes to the bell, and there are others that are preparing 30 minutes, 15, 30, 45 minutes before the bell, and clearly we're the latter. And I love the idea of getting that rolling start, and so as you're thinking about, maybe if you do New Year's resolutions, maybe some of your trading New Year's resolutions, what are those things that, learning from 2023, you're not going to do in 2024? I can tell you a couple of mine. I'm going to really just not just double down, but triple down on the way in which I focus on the real metrics of account growth, right? What are the metrics of account growth? I'm going to double down on that using tools like TradesViz. I'm going to also make sure that I'm focusing primarily on trends, something I do anyways, but again, really want to double down on that, if not triple down on that, right? Where are the trends, and am I prioritizing those, whether I'm day trading, swing trading, or looking at my longer term portfolio? And then really, I won't say lastly, but it's related to trends, is am I using alignment? Am I respecting the high concentration weighted way in which these modern day markets are composed of the small number of stocks, small number of sectors with the greatest number of influence? And am I finding that index sector stock alignment that increases the probability for my follow through? Follow through is where we get paid, gang. Follow through is the gem. How do we find those symbols and time frames and setups that have follow through? I would say the very first step is sector stock alignment. So that's just a little bit of what I'm thinking about that I will either continue to do or really emphasize more. It's really in a lot of ways, for I think most traders, resolution should be what I'm not going to do, right? A lot of times we're thinking this list has to be a longer list, but what are the three things that maybe you'll cut out from what you're doing to be able to focus more on your winning strategies, your winning approach, the winning times a day, things like that. So just a few things that's buzzing around in my head this morning. And so as always, gang, let's get to it. The phone lines are open for your questions. And let's go ahead and start off with, and a shout out to our Essentials room, as well as my Twitter, YouTube. We've got the Simpler Trading YouTube folks in the house. So again, thank you so much for 3 years and running of Charts and Coffee. All right. So getting to it, morning. Yes, I did want to remind everybody that we still have our New Year's sale in full swing, and subscriptions, indicators, my mastery, all these things are on sale. And if there are things that you've been curious about trying, kicking the tires on, incorporating into your trading, do it while it's on sale. That's always what I'm going to say. I'm also just going to let everyone know I do have a class coming up in Q1 as well. So if you're thinking about, hey, how am I going to structure, what are some of my New Year's resolutions? If one of them is, Raghee said, let's focus on trends. How do I do that? Right? How do I prioritize that? How do I recognize them in real time? How do I find the opportunities that are best suited for the trends? How do I figure out which time frame I'm going to trade on? So we're going to be doing that in Q1. So keep that in the back of your heads. I'm super excited for that. I'm very passionate about trends. If for no other reason, they are the best environments to trade. Case in point, 2020. Could 2024 be another great trending year? Gang, we have a dovish Fed, right? Regardless of all the other noise you've heard, probably the same noise that you heard that might have kept you from being bullish this year in the broader averages, new all-time highs, gang. So maybe we got to think about what we're not going to do this year. I'm not going to listen to the pundits and the gurus and the folks who have time to be on television, right? Maybe I need to just buckle down and work on the tools that I've gotten from Simpler, work on the strategies that I'm learning in the rooms, and just block that out Think about that. Do not list as well. All right. So I appreciate that, Sadiq. I really do enjoy it very much. I appreciate that. Green eggs and ham. Note this morning pre-market seems a lot of large down candles. Is that algo selling? I have no clue. I've never cared. I'll tell you straight up. Green eggs and ham. I don't care if it's algo selling. I don't care if it's my mom. I don't care if it's aliens. I've just never ever cared about selling is selling. Buying is buying. What we do want to know, right? Okay, Rob. We're talking about trends. How do we know meaningful trends? Volume, gang. I'm never going to know what's going on. This sort of preoccupation with, is it big money? Is it institutions? Is it dark pool? Is it algo? Is it high frequency? Whatever the new, to me, it's like whatever that new enemy is, whatever the new monster in the market is. There always is one, right? That thing that we're supposed to be freaked out about. Right. I guess algos have had a lot of traction. To me, volume matters, right? So even if an algo goes off, but there's not a lot of size, does it matter? Size matters. Volume matters. And so to me, I just want to know, where is the volume? So pull up the volume on AMD, take a look at a volume profile. For me, when I look at AMD on the daily time frame, a lot of large down candles on what time frame, right? Let's go back to trends on what time frame. AMD's trend is bananas. Could people take profit the last trading day of the year? They could, right? So don't underestimate. If someone wants to book that gain for 2023, they got to do it today. And, when I look at something like AMD, a down candle on what, a 5-minute chart? I mean, this is a candle that, or a 1-hour chart, what is it that I'm measuring for my trend? What is it that I'm thinking is the decision-making time frame? And that's what I'll think about. But what it is, I'll be frank, my friend, I've just never really, frankly, and I don't want to make it sound like it's not important or not good to be curious. It is, but I think sometimes we let the fearmongers on television dictate what we care about. And when they start talking about all these things, we think that that's what we need to start paying attention to. Yeah. Not always, and usually never. Is that going to be helpful? All right, Nike. Hey there, Munir. What conditions would I like to see in place for a setup on Nike? Oh gosh, Munir, it's got to settle down. This is like a pot that boiled over. I've got a mess on the stove. I got to clean it up, and now it's just simmering. I don't want to sell it, right? So here's where understanding the structure of the time frame that you're trading matters. And it's a great question in terms of this particular symbol. Look at my drawing tools here. All right. So here is the transition from green to yellow. So this is an uptrend to a non-trend, right? Sideways market. But the history of what the market's been doing matters, right? What preceded the chop? An uptrend. So this is neutral, but bullish, right? The next thing I want to think about is, where am I in terms of, if I'm in a sideways market, which I am in this area here, this is now sideways, what am I going to pay attention to? I'm going to pay attention to a slow stochastic. As I like to say, listen to me now, believe me later, nothing will outperform a 21K 3D, right? For 25 plus years, I've used this setting on a slow stochastic. It just works, and it's built into platforms that you're using right now. Why not try something free, right? See what it does for you. I've adjusted this, one, because I have terrible vision and I wanted a single line, but it's a 21K 3D slow stochastic set on an exponential. These are all things you can adjust within the settings on Thinkorswim, for example. It matters now because we have a non-trending market. So if we're looking for something next year, I wouldn't do it today, but if we're looking for something next year, two things. I'd like to see the oversold stochastic in this neutral environment. And there's my daily price movement range in play. As long as that gray zone of the daily price movement range holds, we're in good shape. I would look for a buy. QQQ, in terms of outperforming, Outperforming the QQQ? I'm not looking to outperform the QQQ, but let me read the rest of the question. You mean Nike outperforming the QQQ? Also, in terms of outperforming the QQQ, when looking for relative strength, how long do you need to see outperformance? I use the structure of the multi-trend. Yeah, I use the structure of the multi-trend. All right. So I would say in terms of who's trending, right? And then how long have they been trending for? And then we can look at things like grab candles. We can look at the 34 EMA wave. So there are definitely other things that we can look at as we go down the list of, hey, what is a better trend than another trend? And that would go back to one of the New Year's resolutions, trading resolutions I spoke about earlier, which is, hey, how about looking at alignment, right? Sometimes it's not just about QQQ versus Nike. Sometimes is QQQ and Nike, are they both working? Do we have alignment? What does consumer discretionary have to say? Things like that. All right. Okay, next up is, let's see, mess on the stove. Yeah, sometimes we've all been there, right? We've all been there. What do I think of 3M? One, so let's stick with trend, index sector stock alignment. So first of all, beautiful trend. If I'm thinking about 3M, I'm going to think about things like the Dow. I'm going to think about sectors like the industrials. So if I have index sector stock alignment, fantastic. And then 3M as I'm on the daily here. So just remember, we can talk about intraday, 5-minute trends. We can talk about 1-hour trends. The same tools, by the way, gang, that I use to determine if I want to put, say, XLK in my portfolio, as we did in the Sector Secrets Mastery last October, right? Are the same tools I decide if I want to swing trade 3M on the daily or if I want to day trade 3M on the 5-minute chart. So in terms of 3M, what are some of the things, one, that I like about it? It's in a trend. Take a look at those 2 rows at the bottom, gang. Again, this is going to be one of those things where, all I can do is show you all time and time again. And hopefully the culmination of Charts and Coffee, the culmination of the free videos at the Simple Trading YouTube channel and my YouTube channel for that matter. And you go back and say, gosh, if you did, maybe some of you listened. And if you did, hey, congrats. But if you listened to me and you thought, gosh, Rog said that the dollar strength and the higher yields are not undoing the strength in tech and in the S&P. And here we are at all-time highs. So maybe I sat on the sidelines because I listened to someone on television or wherever who told me that we're circling the drain and that all these terrible things are coming because the Fed doesn't know what they're doing and da-da-da-da-da, right? At the end of the day, I've taken the distillation of things that I learned the hard way, like we all tend to do, and I've automated them to things where my pig in the head has as little say as possible. We need more opinions in our life when it comes to trading. Like we need another losing trade, right? We don't need it. We don't need opinions, I think. My gut, right? What do we see? And all year long, for the most part, we've seen stocks above their 200. 3M is just getting above it. This is a huge deal. 3M has been a no thank you pretty much all year long. It's only now getting interesting, right? It's only now breaking the 200 propulsion. It's only now breaking the anchored VWAP. It's only now really sticking with the green. This could be one to look at early next year. Most definitely a buy the dip. Most definitely. All right. Alex says, for 2024, I'm marrying my tools with nested squeezes. I found that increases probability and follow through. Alex, it's so funny you mentioned that. And, the Trish boss and I are looking at our next class. So the Trish boss is, by the way, for those of you that may not know her, my partner here in the office. She handles all my content. She handles all the things you see coming from South Florida HQ. What class we're going to do, how we're going to make sure that their members are going to get the most from the Sector Secrets Mastery and so forth. I mean, a lot of you know the Lorna bot. She trades with me in the room. We're always cooking on indicators together. But you kind of think about which indicators are going to help you in a trend, right? And you mentioned nested squeezes. If we have nested squeezes, so this is where Trish Boss and I were saying, Rog, there's a lot of people who have a lot of the cool tools here from Simpler, but they still might be struggling as to how and when to apply them, right? And I thought, gosh, If everyone simply had the multi-trend grab and wave and even propulsion on their screen, it doesn't take away from the other things that they're wanting to use. It really just clarifies when to use it. So the foundation of my trading, and some of this is luck, knock on wood, I'd rather be lucky than good, but some of this is luck. I stumbled upon focusing on the structure of the market first, not a holy grail strategy, not where to find the best entry, not when to know the top or bottom is in. Those things don't exist. I think most of us know that. But when do I say, to your point, Alex, say, you know what? There's a nested squeeze. What's the best environment for it, right? Do I want to look at a nested squeeze looking for a long in a red trend environment or a red momentum environment? I do not, right? So how do we take the things we love and increase the probability? We emphasize structure. That is what I do, right? That is frankly what I do best. Everything that I do is optimized for, am I using the right tool for the job? Well, that then means I've got a tool to determine, I've got a visual way to determine, hey, this is an uptrend. So let's stick with 3M. If I'm looking at a nested squeeze in 3M, I don't know if there is one or not. But if I go down to the structure and I see a bullish Momo, the top row is green, I see a bullish trend, now I'm in business. And you're going to find squeezes, nested or otherwise, work fantastic when the grab candles are primarily green. This is for longs, primarily green with little hints of blue. So when I see a window of opportunity like this right here, right, that's a neutral environment, blue grab candles, the Darvis is showing some compression. I can confirm that with a tool whose job it is to show us a compressed market that's getting ready to explode, aka the squeeze, as I like to say, John, decoding momentum, right? And then you see the momentum kick in as we're coming out of that, right? See the top row goes green. Those are little nuances that once you know how to put together, anything you already have is going to work better when you understand the context of trends. And really understanding the context of trends is understand the context of momentum as well. I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Alex. I love it. I love that you've got a plan. And I wish you all the best for it. And that's just a little bit of what I would say could even tweak it to make it better. Stone Castle asks, for a swing trade in a trending stock, do I wait for a pullback to the daily price movement range? I prefer that, Stone. So great question. Let's take a look at the NQ for a moment. All of our tools have great information. All of our tools I'm not saying there's a good tool, bad tool. It's what resonates with us. So this is the NASDAQ on a daily. Yeah. So I'm going to point out a few things that are on this chart, right? There is my 200 propulsion. Is that in play? Rarely, but it is. Here's my volume weighted average price, my anchored VWAP, right? Is it in play? Not as often, but it's good to know we're above it. Yes. So the frequency with which the tool that we're using to find dynamic support in the context of a trend, what does that mean? Support that stair steps with the uptrend. Is the 200 propulsion or the anchored VWAP going to do that job? Probably not, but it's an important job that they have, right? I could re-anchor my VWAP. I could make sure I'm on the bullish hemisphere of things. I can make sure I'm tracking where that important volume is on the chart. It's going to matter, right? Am I trading with that flow, right? And then I'm going to ask myself, but what's in play? And you'll notice here is the wave in play, 34 EMA wave, right? But it's not been in play a ton in this green trend. What has been? Yes, the gray zone of the DPMR, right? So every tool has its job. Every tool has its job. Right now, that DPMR, yeah, it's and there's a reason DPMR does what it does. The DPMR is, Lorna Bott and I go back and we look at expansion and contraction of volatility, and this is consistently being recalculated based on historical volatility, right? We're looking at the data. We're excluding data that's probably too old to really be influential anymore, and we're bringing it forward to data that's pertinent to the psychology now. And that's why this is as eerily accurate. Look, I made this tool, but even I go, my gosh, So do you ever step back and go, I did that? DPMRs and HPMRs are that moment every time for me. How do it know? And that's where the historical volatility magic comes in. All right, gang, I'm running over, so let me get out of the way. Thank you as always. Thank you as always for being here for Charts and Coffee. I'm going to be back on Sunday. It's going to be New Year's Eve evening. I'll probably do an earlier show like I did on Christmas Eve. I'll probably do a show closer to 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern. It'll be available for replay at the Simpler Trading YouTube channel as well as mine. But we'll come back on Sunday for Top Tier Outlook. Bring your questions. And we'll go through it and we'll prepare for the new year. I thank you all for being a part of the Simpler community. Thank you all for being a part of this the Sector Secrets Mastery Room, and I thank you for wanting to learn how to do this thing called trading and doing it at a high level. I'm rooting for you. I root for retail traders. I root for people who earn their own money, put it in account, and risk it. Make decisions themselves. My hat's off to you. It's not an easy thing, but it's very rewarding. I'll see you all on Sunday. Be good to each other, gang. And if I don't see you Sunday, happy, healthy, prosperous new year. Looking forward to trading with you in 2024. It's going to be a good one.